What's up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at some of the more important alchemy recipes in phase 2 of classic for gold making purposes, and sort of what you can do to make sure that you're actually making a profit or not. So obviously alchemy consumables, pretty much the only source of big consumables that increase your throughput, whether it's damage, healing, whatever. And that generally makes them consistent sellers. People always want to do more damage. They always want to do more damage, whether for parsing or just clearing the raid, or just because it's fun to see the number go up on details or whatever damage meter add-on you use. So we're going to look at sort of two groups of consumables, the stat increasing elixirs and other potions that just give a straight up damage benefit. And then we're going to take a look at some of the utility potions that have other strong effects that players want because they're useful. So I've already made a TSM setup for the recipes that are relevant in this phase, and those are the ones we're going to look at. So firstly, we have the stat elixirs, or the damage or throughput sort of items, and we're mostly focusing on items that are now available to craft that weren't in phase 1. So the elixir of agility, this one is a plus 15 agility. You learned this from the trainer. This is also on the leveling guide. So the market is flooded with these right now, but down the line we should be seeing more interesting stuff from these. Elixir of frost power, this is sort of a niche thing. It was only available during the winter, the Christmas event. So if you didn't get it then you might not have it. I don't think frost mages are particularly relevant, so doubt we'll see much value from this, but could be the case. Elixir of greater defense, this one is sort of the main tank one. It's also used in waylaid supplies, which increases the value a little bit. Great rage potion, this one is for warriors. This is from vendors or the auction house, so it was very cheap. The recipe was like 35 silver on my realm. If it's that cheap, I would just buy it from the auction house and save the time. And then lastly, the lesser arcane elixir. This one is very interesting. Because to get this, it's bind and pick up, and the only place to get it is from Revered Reputation with our good friends, the Azeroth Commerce Authority or the Durotar Logistics Office. So you need to farm rep to get this. So that means it's going to have a lot less competition in theory. Well, as we can see, there's already 900 auctions of this on my auction now, so there are a lot of people with the recipe, but it is looking quite nice. So then we have the utility potions. We're not focusing on too many. Free action potion is at the top here, just because it's still so good. It was available last phase. It's still one of the strongest ones, and with the Stranglethorn event, definitely favoring this type of consumable to help you in PvP. I think this one is going to be pretty good. Lesser invisibility potions is a long-term play. You learned this from the trainer. People might be crafting this to level up their profession. It is a very, very strong potion for certain scenarios. We might not see any this phase, but I'd keep an eye on this one. This is sort of a sleeper. Maybe someone discovers some sort of trash farm or specific boss farm with a invis skip or something, and then we could see these going up in value. The nature protection potion is sort of, well, we're in Ulduar, or not Ulduar, we're in Gnomeregan, and it's mechanical enemies who sap you with lightning. Of course, we're going to need nature protection. Generally speaking, these protection potions are really strong in the raids in Classic. They give an absolutely huge absorb shield, and you can use them before the fight. So this one is, I've sold quite a few of these. The nice thing about these ones compared to shadow protection potions in last phase is that they're a lot cheaper now, which means people are going to buy more of them, or be willing to buy more of them in general. Now, one thing that is very important about pricing in general right now is that loads of material prices have not stabilized. That means that the Trade Skill Master crafting cost estimate is often going to be wrong, because for the material prices that are used, it uses the market value. So for instance, Goldthorn, we can see our Goldthorn has a market value of 76 silver, and the current minimum buyout, or minimum buyout the last time Trade Skill Master checked, at 46 silver. If we look at Goldthorn right now, we can see that a decent chunk is available at 57 silver, and then there's a lot more available at like 60, which is still quite a bit below the current market value. Now what price? This means that it's very important to buy materials cheaply. that means you're not competing. If I waited a day or maybe an hour later, someone had bought out everything and I had to pay 62 silver, they would be crafting these for 5 silver less than me, and it would be almost impossible for me to compete with them and still make any reasonable amount of profit. It's really important to try to snag materials when they're cheap. It's also important to make sure that you use the right pricing in TSM, and you can change the prices of any one material. If you go to the crafting window and then reports materials, and then you just look up. So I did some recording earlier, and then the gold thorn was 50 silver. So I set the price to 50 silver. We can see that that's obviously completely wrong. So I would reset this to default, and maybe I would set this to 60 silver, because that's the price I can reasonably buy gold thorn, and that's going to make it cheaper than the market value. So that's something you just need to check. Any recipe that you know is good, if it doesn't show a profit, check if any of the materials have a market value that's significantly above the minimum buyout. That might mean that TSM is overvaluing the crafting cost, and that if you change it, it might be able to craft these at a profit. Outside of that, then you can just use my Trade Skill Master setup to post these and make the crafting decisions. But my group has crafting operations, but it also based on assuming what the minimum crafting cost is going to be, or needs a minimum crafting profit of about 20% of the cost. May want to change that if you like. I prefer to keep it that, just to have a nice cushion. But that does mean that you need to make sure that the crafting cost estimate is correct. So if any material prices are changing rapidly, then change them manually in this list and you're good to go, essentially. The other thing to be aware of with Alchemy is that in general, people buy a lot more consumables on raid reset nights, because that's the thing they mostly use their consumables for. So to get the maximum price for your items, you want to sell them in from 7 in the evening to 10 in the evening on raid reset nights. Those are the absolute best days to sell Alchemy consumables, and if you do that, you're going to see a lot more value from your crafted items than if you don't. So yeah, that's it. Those are the recipes. Grab the Trade Skill Master setup in the blog post linked in the video description. To import that, you're going to get a string. You copy that, you go to groups, and you click this button right here, and then you paste the import string here, and it'll look something like this. Click import, and you're good to go. Good luck, guys.